Imagine you're part of a crowd, a massive crowd. There are people everywhere, as far as you can see. Men, women, children, every single one of them is looking toward one person. The person everyone's talking about. The person who's turning the world upside down. Jesus! It's been hours now, under the blazing sun, in the middle of nowhere. And here's the thing, there's no food. People haven't eaten, not since early in the morning, but they don't leave. They can't, because they've heard the stories that this man, Jesus, has done the impossible. They've heard that he's healed the sick, made the blind see, and even raised the dead. And today, they're hoping to see something amazing for themselves. You glance at the people around you. You see mothers holding their children close, trying to soothe them as they cry out in hunger. Fathers look over at their families, wishing they could give them something to eat, but knowing there's nothing here for miles. And then, your own stomach starts to rumble. You're hungry too. Everyone here is hungry, tired, and some are even starting to wonder, is it worth it? Then, out of the corner of your eye, you see one of Jesus's disciples, looking at the crowd with wide eyes. He's starting to panic. How are we supposed to take care of all these people? He whispers to the others. They're all thinking it. They have no food, no supplies, and they know there's no way they could feed everyone, even if they wanted to. But Jesus is different. He's calm, like he doesn't even notice the heat, the hunger, the dust blowing around them. Finally, one of his disciples, probably Peter the brave one, steps forward. He looks at Jesus and says, "Master, shouldn't we send them away? Let them go into the villages to find food. There's nothing here." But Jesus doesn't send them away. He doesn't even look worried. Instead, he turns to Peter with a gentle but powerful look and says, "No, you give them something to eat." Peter's eyes go wide. "Us?" he asks, looking around as if Jesus has to be joking. They barely have anything themselves, maybe a few scraps between them. "What do you mean, us?" the disciples murmur among themselves. "Where would we even get enough food for a crowd this size? We'd need thousands of silver coins just to buy a single meal for each person here." And then, as the disciples are looking at each other, trying to make sense of what Jesus just said, something unexpected happens. A young boy steps out from the crowd, shyly holding a small basket in his hands. He's just a child, maybe 7 or 8 years old, and in his basket are 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish. 5 loaves, 2 fish. It's barely enough to feed a family, let alone thousands. The disciples look at the boy, then back at Jesus, and they're thinking, what good is this? It's nothing. The crowd murmurs, some even laughing at the sight of the tiny offering. But Jesus doesn't laugh. He doesn't turn it away. He looks down at the boy and smiles, taking the basket as if it's the greatest gift he's ever received. He turns to his disciples who are still doubting, still questioning, and he says, "Watch." Jesus raises the bread and the fish, holding them high above his head, and the crowd goes silent. Thousands of people are watching, breathless, their eyes fixed on him. He closes his eyes, and in a soft, reverent voice, he thanks God. He thanks God not just for the food, but for the abundance he's about to share with all of them. And then, the miracle begins. Jesus breaks the bread, and it doesn't run out. He hands a piece to one disciple, then another, and each time, there's still more in his hands. Bread after bread, fish after fish, it just keeps coming. The disciples' eyes widen as they realize what's happening, and they begin to run through. The families are eating, children are laughing, friends are sharing bread and fish, passing it around as if it's the best meal they've ever had. And all around, people are whispering, "How is this possible? Who is this man?" They came hoping for a miracle, but they never expected this. And when everyone has eaten, when every single person is full, their stomachs satisfied, feeling content, the disciples go around to gather the leftovers. And what do they find? 12 baskets. 12 baskets full of leftovers. They're in shock. They started with barely enough for one person, and now they have more than they started with. It's as if the miracle has no end, as if the abundance of God is just endless. And as the crowd starts to leave, they're not just full of food, they're full of wonder, amazement. They're whispering to each other, who could do such a thing? Could he really be the Son of God? And maybe that's what Jesus wanted all along. Not just to fill their stomachs, but to fill their hearts. To show them that even when things seem impossible, with God, there is always enough. There is always more than enough. So, next time you feel like you don't have enough, or that things are too hard, remember this story. Remember that with just 5 loaves and 2 fish, Jesus fed thousands. Because sometimes, even the smallest things, when placed in God's hands, can become more than enough. And that's the miracle of the loaves and fishes. Thanks for watching, and remember, anything is possible with a little faith.